This is Gary Atensi with CNTV, and today we're in Canada. I'm here with Cyology Labs. Since 2015, they provided a holistic cybersecurity solution, ensuring the integrity of your IT infrastructure, securing your tech assets, and privacy of your data. Overall, keeping an eye on your security. I'm joined here with the international award-winning expert, author, speaker, CEO, and founder, Terry Cutler. Terry, thanks for joining us here today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Let's start off a little bit about yourself. I mean, you began your formal education back in the 90s at Dawson College studying computer programming. You spent a decade as a premium services engineer before going on to really start multiple companies on your own. You're now a government-cleared ethical hacker, voted #1 top influencer in cybersecurity. With your online university, you have taught others how to stay safe. Share with us how this hacking them first story began for you.
Sure. So I've been in IT, for over 20 years. So I started my big career at the Novell. This was a big software company back in the 90s that used to dominate the networking industry. And in 2005, I started getting inspired by watching shows like CSI and 24. Remember Jack Bauer? Like how does Chloe O'Brien breaking all these systems so fast? So with that, I started doing some research, and it was actually a course called the Certified Ethical Hacker, where they teach you the same techniques that the bad guys used to break in, except using no skills for good. And I got the privilege of training with the FBI, the CIA, and the Navy SEALs in Washington in a specialized course. They were students in the class as well. And then, obviously, armed with that knowledge of how the hackers are getting in, I felt it was my duty to educate the business owners and general public on how to keep safe online from scammers and fraudsters and stuff.
Wow, definitely felt it was your duty, and you've definitely done that. When you studied programming back in the 90s, I mean, the services you now provide were probably almost non-existent. Yet today, every company relies on computers. So does the need for safety continue to grow, and why would you say that is?
Yeah, because obviously right now we're facing a worldwide shortage of almost 3 million cybersecurity experts. And what's happening is resources are really hard to find. And of course, they're very expensive. If you want to employ a cybersecurity expert in your company, you're looking at close to 6 digits to start. And these guys are not sales guys, right? They're not necessarily only IT guys. So they're technically a cost center for you. And plus, they're not watching your network 24/7. So we're seeing a lot of shift now where the smaller companies are coming to a company like ours to help manage their cybersecurity and watch them 24/7 and help them without becoming cybersecurity experts.
Makes total sense why people are basically turning to you when you're talking about numbers like that. Let's first of all start by educating our viewers with a short summary answer. What is cybersecurity?
So cybersecurity is basically online protection of your personal data. So as an individual, you might say, well, I don't care about cybersecurity. I'm too small. Who's going to want to hack me? But the cyber criminals know that you don't have the time, money, or resources to deal with cybersecurity. So what they're doing is they're hacking into your accounts and taking it over and holding it hostage. So that's why a lot of individuals or consumers will say they're getting their Facebook accounts hacked, their Instagram accounts, and they're going to be extorted to get the account back.
Wow. I mean, I would definitely agree with you because in the news today, all I seem to hear is when big companies are attacked. I mean, that kind of fools the small business owner to believe that they are not a target. And that's just not the case. Is that correct?
That's exactly correct. So people don't believe me, but there's when you get hit with a ransomware attack is essentially a malicious software that gets into your company's network and encrypts all the data. It scrambles it all and makes it completely unusable and forces you to pay a ransom to get it back. And some of these ransoms start at several hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars to get your data back. And its job of the software is to go and destroy any copies of your backups and whatever. And it's either you're going to pay this ransom or you're going to lose your business.
Wow, that's horrible. I mean, so these are cyber criminals. I mean, they can cause expensive damage to any business out there. So these large companies have their own in-house security. Are small to medium-sized businesses left even more vulnerable when they don't have an in-house? And is this kind of where your company can come in?
Yeah, so most small businesses have an internal IT guy. Now, an IT guy is not a cybersecurity specialist. So think of IT as your family doctor, right? Would you ever ask your family doctor to perform laser eye surgery on you? And most people would say no. So that's where a cybersecurity expert or a firm can come in and complement the IT guy. So we're not there to replace him or take his job and such. We're there to complement him so that it makes his job easier.
Absolutely, definitely a supplement to what he's doing already, but letting you basically do what you're good at, and he does what he's good at. As you say, hacking them first before the cyber criminals do. Either way, they're
Yes.
getting tested. So is this ethical hacking all part of the initial report card audit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's part. So the report card audit is one piece of the puzzle. So we do what's called a penetration test. It's where we have legal permission from the business owners to legally try and hack them and find all the holes before the bad guys do. And the biggest difference between us and a cyber criminal is that you're going to receive a report with all your vulnerabilities, whereas the cyber criminals are not going to give you that report. They're just going to take your stuff and cause havoc on your network.
Interesting. So the report card is designed to improve the understanding of your company's security by identifying security strengths as well as weaknesses. By fixing these deficiencies early on, can you actually decrease future downtime?
Yeah. So this report card audit, what's great about this report card is that there's no software to install, no agents to deploy on any of the systems. And it takes about 15 minutes of some IT guy's time. So we would work with them and it would reveal a ton of problems in the network. We've seen problems like, hey, these computers are missing antivirus. And when you look at like, how can this be? This is impossible. Then we find out that, oh yeah, I forgot to install it on this box. Or worse, the IT guy says, I don't need to have an antivirus on my email server. It's going to slow things down. Next thing you know, they get hit with a ransomware attack. So it's going to find these. It's going to find user accounts that haven't signed in months and years because they might still be active in the system, right? Because there's so much turnover, they forget to close the accounts. And what's worse now is what's happening is there's a lot of passwords leaking onto the dark web. The dark web is the criminal underbelly of the internet. This is where all the cyber criminals are exchanging data, selling things. It's like arms dealers, things like that. And they're selling passwords to your network. And once they get in, their job is to stay undetected for months and years. That's why when you see cyber criminals get detected, it's because somebody made a mistake. And all this time is they're copying out your data to hold it hostage so they can extort you.
I'm glad you touched on that. I was going to ask you about the dark web. Obviously, the name is very well for it. Dark is very dark what people are doing out there, these criminals. Your experience in these penetration testing or ethical hacking services you provide have really made you government cleared certified hackers. Can your team go in and train some of the in-house teams of larger companies?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's part of the process. Usually when we uncover what we found, we walk them through, okay, here's what we found. Here's the impact of it. Here's the affected machines and here's how to fix it. So we walk them through how to code properly, secure their websites. That's all included in the service.
With a national partnership network of over 1,100 IT technicians, you can now respond to the IT needs of businesses of all sizes. We're talking even multi-branch franchises. I mean, really, you're providing Canada-wide safety anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's the beauty is that because a lot of companies now have multiple offices, and let's say for you to send an IT guy maybe 8 or 9 hours away, we would probably have resources in that area that have already been vetted that we can deploy within 1 hour or 4 hours, depending on the service level. But yeah, I mean, we're branching off into also residential cybersecurity services because the home seniors or home parents don't have the technical know-how to protect themselves against cyber threats. So we're opening. We just launched a new service for residential as well.
Still have a lot of work ahead of you. It sounds like you've done so much already all across Canada. It's amazing.
I haven't
Let me
slept in
ask you
7 years.
right. Yeah, 7 years. Initial scans, initial audits are all the first step, obviously, but usually that's not enough. How important is implementing vulnerability management for ongoing protection?
Right. That's a great question. So again, most small businesses don't believe they're going to be a target, but they don't realize that they actually are the number one target to cyber criminals because they know they don't have the time, money, or resources to deal with cybersecurity. So what they do is they hack into these small businesses and use them as a jump point to attack another company. And when the other company does their forensic audit, they can say, oh my God, it was this small business that did it. Next, they're being hit with legal fines, penalties, like it could be a mess. So these small businesses, again, they don't believe they're the target and they don't want to spend a lot of money. Like, I'm not a bank. Who's going to want to hack me? So with these vulnerability assessments, at least it gives them visibility into what flaws are currently in their network because, we're discovering flaws every day. So there's no way they can keep up, especially if they have just an IT guy. So these types of services will help them uncover holes.
That is interesting. I noticed a red got hacked button on your homepage, a button none of us want to ever click. But when that happens, explain how your emergency incident response team can help and why time is of the essence.
Yeah. Okay. So what happens here is when a company gets breached, a couple of things usually happen. In a horrible scenario, the IT guys on site will kick in and say, "Oh yeah, we can get this thing back up and running as quickly as possible," and they can. But what they do is that when they start erasing these computers and start rebuilding them, they're actually erasing evidence of how the intrusion occurred. So when we come in, we deploy softwares that allows us to kind of collect artifacts or forensic evidence on each of the computers to find out how it got in, what they took, what passwords did they steal, do they still have access? Because one of the pieces of the service is it detects if beaconings are still happening. Are these computers still talking back to the threat actors so they can get back into the network whenever they want? There's a whole thing that happens here, and once we've done that part, we compile a report that'll be given to their cyber insurance. Now, hopefully, these companies do have cyber insurance because now it's getting more and more harder to qualify for it because the insurance companies are losing $5 for every dollar they get. Right. So they don't want to lose more money. So now, in order for you to qualify for cyber insurance, you can have a huge list of things to qualify for. And if you don't have that, they're not even going to insure you. And again, perfect example, we did a dentist office, 20 employees. By the time he was done, it cost him $300,000 between fees, working with the threat actors to like pay the ransom, lawyers, all these things. It gets very expensive very quickly.
Can't rely on insurance. Definitely better to do some proactive approach to take care of it on the front end. You have virtual programs where your clients can tap into your experts. Sharing your knowledge and experience has always been a big part of what you do, be it speaking, online classes. Explain
Yeah.
what a master class with your university can also provide, and who is that good for?
Okay. So that masterclass was designed for the consumer, the non-technical person. My vision here was if I can train these people at home, they're going to get very knowledgeable at home, very savvy. So when they go back to the workplace, they're going to bring that knowledge with them. And so over time, I was always getting messages from people like, Terry, I don't have time to read your book. I don't have time to read your blog. I don't have time for your videos. But if I had you in my pocket, it'd be so much easier for me. So then I developed the Fraudster app, the Fraudster mobile app, which is available for Apple and Android, which allows me to push notify you of the latest frauds and scams to watch out for. And what's really cool about that service is that there's a component in there that allows us for crowdsourced crime fighting systems in there. It's where you as a consumer, let's say you received a fraud that's not in our system yet, you can actually upload that to us. We'll validate it. And if it's legit, if it's good, we're going to push it out to the rest of the community. And maybe somebody's going to contribute saying, hey, yeah, this happened to me. I think I know who's behind this. And next, we can pass this information off to law enforcement.
That is great information for my viewers out there in Consumer News TV. That is excellent. I can see why you're going into residential as well. I mean, security is big for all of us. You are simply and unquestionably part of the largest network of professionals with end-to-end solutions. You combat state-of-the-art threats, never underestimating the power of cyber criminals. Is it rewarding staying one step ahead of them to protect your clients?
We're never a step ahead of them. We're actually probably 10 steps behind. The cyber criminals are so far ahead of us right now. Not just us, but as an industry, because there's things that we cannot do. So for example, we actually had the capability of finding out where this cyber criminal is, turn on his Wi-Fi, turn on his camera, take a picture and send it back to us saying, yep, it was this guy behind the screen, but now privacy laws. So the technology exists to track these folks down. It's just that, we executing some of these things.
Ah, that is interesting. I'll be honest with you, Consumer News Television, we started small. We're definitely growing, but I was shocked last year that we actually got hacked into. My director was on the phone talking to somebody about being on the show. They went to the TV program, looked, and found out that basically there was no channel there. Hackers had broke in, took down my entire channel. It took us months to get everything back up in place again. So it became very personal for me to make sure that people knew about professionals such as yourself. So that's fantastic. Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. And what you're going to see is their website. On the website, you can see all of the services they provide. Learn more about Terry's vast experience. You can find his best-selling book right there online as well. But obviously check out the training that he provides for consumers out there. It's as easy as clicking the blue Start Here button, where you can begin educating yourself on the threats that every individual, business, and network can face. For over 2 decades, he's advised some of Canada's largest companies, and now his team is here keeping an eye on your security. Once again, that is Cyology Labs, cybersecurity made simple with all-in-one threat detection, analysis, and response. This is Gary Atensa with CNTV. And if you don't know, now you know.